Alright, so we're back for another battle report with Tyranids taking on the Salamanders again. We're going to be playing through most of the Eternal War missions, so if you watched the last one, we played Retrieval Mission, so the mission that we're going to play this time, which we'll go over shortly, is going to be different. So for my list, I switched it up this time. There's a list that I was inspired by online, and I wanted to give it a go, so it is going to be a double Acidfex type list. So I'll go over everything here. So starting out with the HQ slot, I have a Flyrant with 2 Brain Leech Devourers, and then monstrous Rending Claws. He's actually kitted out with a fair amount of stuff. He has the wings, obviously, and he has Catalyst and Onslaught for powers, Toxin Sacs, and he also has the Adrenal Gland Relic. He has Adrenal Glands, obviously, the I'm looking at here the Arachnocyte Gland, so that's going to come in handy. I'm going to try and play a little offensively with him. Then my Warlord is a Neurothrope. I have 2 stratagems that I'll be using that -1 CP, so I have an additional artifact, and I also have an additional adaptation. So this guy's my Warlord. He has Catalyst and a Resonance Barb. So that is my 2 relics right there. In heavy support, I have my 2 Tyrannofexes with Acid Spray. That's it for them. They have both have Dermic Symbiosis, so they have the 5-up inball, so they're going to be very tanky. And then I have 5 Zoanthropes with Psychic Scream, 3 Hive Guard, 4 Warriors, kitted out with Lash Whip, Bone Sword, and a Venom Cannon on this guy. And they all have Death Spitters otherwise. I brought 8 Raveners, all with Spine Fist and Scything Talons, and 2 sets of Termagants, 10 in each. I'm also playing Leviathan. I probably should have mentioned that before, and this is a Brigade Detachment. So that's 1,500 points of Tyranids.
Alright, so running Salamander Successor chapter with Long Range Marksmen and Master Artisans. The Master Artisans gives me rerolls for to hit and to wound for each unit, which is pretty sweet. Running Predator with double las cannon, so 4 in total. I have 2 squads attack marines. Ignore everything that's on them pretty much because I don't have anything modeled correctly. I got 2 missile launchers though, 1 in each squad of 5. I have the suppressors in the middle there, the flying guys. They have grab shoot, and that's about it. The Dreadnought, he's a heavy plasma and a heavy flamer, or plasma cannon, sorry, and a heavy flamer. Going across the back, the Eliminators, the Sergeant has Dragon Rage bolts. The Centurions next to them, they have Hurricane Bolters and heavy flamers. The Aggressors, they're Boltstorm Gauntlets, and the they're frag grenade launchers. 2 combat squatted, group of infiltrators, and then the 3 guys across the front. I have an Inquisitor who's Ordo Malleus with Dominate spell. I have the Primaris Librarian in the middle, who's Chief Librarian, so I spent a CP on him. And he also has the Reliquary of Gathlamor, which denies psychic tests within 18 inches, and there's chances for mortal wounds. And then the Captain, and he is my Warlord.
So taking a look at the battlefield that we have here, so we're playing the Scorched Earth Eternal War mission. So we have 6 objectives, 1 here, right behind that bunker, 1 down here, behind these barrels. The deployment style is this end to this end, so just for our table size, it's your traditional 6x4 foot table, so it's going to be 12 inches up on this end, 12 on that end, and Josh has won the roll-off, so he chose that zone, so I'll get to deploy first. We'll come back after deployment, talk about all of our secondaries, and then we'll see who gets first turn. Alright, so we've gone ahead and deployed here, so I'm going to go over my Tyranid force really quick, show you where everything is. I decided to put the Raveners on the board. I usually keep them in their burrows, but I thought just having them there is going to be another nuisance that he has to deal with. And just I can kind of be a little strategic in how I want to move them. So if I don't get first turn, he has to roll insanely well for his aggressors to even get shots off on them. And that's also committing them over this way. So if he does that, that kind of frees up the middle of the board, so I'm not as worried there, because I have in the middle castled up with my Zoanthropes and Neurothrope Warriors, both of my Tyrannifexes. Other Termagant unit there. I kept the Hive Tyrant in. He's going to come in with his swooping movement, whatever it's called. So over here on the Salamander side of the board, we have in this corner the Predator, both the Infiltrators, the Dreadnought, Missile Squad there, little sneaky Inquisitor hiding on that objective, the Executioners, the so many different names to them, which is funny coming from a Tyranid player. The Assault Centurions over here, Captain sneaking in there, the other unit of attack marines here, the aggressors as you've seen already on this end, and the suppressors are starting inside their grab chute. So we're going to go ahead and roll on camera to see who gets first turn. So let's see. Oh, it's a tie. 2, 4. Do you want first turn or second turn?
I want first turn.
First turn it is. So Salamanders turn 1, this is what he needs. So he's going for the win here. Again, hasn't beat the Tyranids yet, but last game he was primed to do it, but the first turn was not in his favor. So we'll come back after Salamanders turn 1, see if they can put the smackdown to the Tyranids here. And before we go into that, we'll talk about our secondary objectives. I chose Psychic Ritual. I figured that would be a decent one. I chose Investigate Sites, just the layout of the objectives I thought would be beneficial in how I'm going to move about. And the other one I chose was First Strike. I figured I should be able to kill at least one unit and some bonus points if I can survive this first assault, and see if I can kill more. And then for you, you chose?
I chose Bring It Down, which I get 2 victory points for every monster unit with 10 wounds or less. And I get 3 victory points for every monster with 11 wounds or more. That's one. Second one I took was Line Breaker, 4 points for myself if I can have 2 units fully in the enemy deployment zone. And then the third one I took was the mission second objective, which was Raise. So if I can, I get 5 victory points if I raise his objective marker on his side, and I get 15 if I raise both of them.
Alright, so he's going to be coming into my deployment zone. It's going to be tough with this castle here, but he has enough firepower to push through it. So we'll jump back after Salamanders turn 1. Alright, that's Salamanders turn 1 down. So we'll start the most exciting part of the table. The suppressors grab, shoot it in, fired into my Hive Guard. In hindsight, I probably should have placed them probably a little bit back just to kind of negate their dropping in. I wasn't really thinking about the angle there. I should have checked that a little bit more detailed, because they couldn't come up here anywhere. They'd have to be on the other side. But did really well in my rolling. Rolled 2 of my 6-up saves that I had, and then I failed all my Leviathan saves, and I lost one of them. One's down to 1 wound. Weathered the storm pretty well with the rest of the army. So las cannons fired in at this guy from the Predator, made both my 5-up invols, and then I also got a wound through with the Dreadnought on this guy. Unfortunately, rolling 3 1s on the wound roll, but re-rolling with the Salamander tactic, and got it through, but I made my 5-up again. Killed 3 Gaunts there with the Infiltrators up in this rune who advanced. The other Infiltrators advanced there. On the back side, the Executioners. I'm gonna get that. Fired in at this Tyrannifex with no luck there. And on this end, the Raveners took a wound from a frag missile from the Marines who moved there. The aggressors, or Yeah, aggressors moved up with the Librarian on this objective, getting in position, and he got fire shield off on these guys. So that's it, Salamanders turn 1, Tyranids turn 1 now. So end of Tyranids turn 1, pretty successful turn. The Zoanthropes, we'll start with them. They flew in advance up into the middle here. They had line of sight down to the aggressors. And I rolled and I got double 6. So Perils of the Warp killed one of the Zoanthropes, but I rolled really well, killed off 2 of the aggressors, and I think the other guy's down to 2 wounds.
Yep.
2 wounds, so pretty injured over there. The Tyranids advanced up and was going to shoot at the aggressors, but he actually pulled off the aggressor who was out, giving him just barely any line of sight. Then over this way, the Neurothrope got off one of my Psychic Ritual requirements, so he moved up that way. So scoring, or starting to work towards scoring that. These guys moved up over here and got me 3 points for the, what's it called? The Investigate Sites. And then the Tyranids moved over here, but he used self-sacrifice on these guys, so preventing the Tyranids from just dumping shots into them. The Hive Guard double shot to get rid of the suppressors. One volley didn't make it through. I only killed 1, so the second volley came in and got just enough wounds. The Raveners moved up just out of line of sight of the Centurions who are going to be coming around the edge over here. My Tyrant came down, landed back here, shot at the Inquisitor, did 2 wounds, and then charged in at the Eliminators, took them out, used the CP to jump up around this way, and he's just going to hang out there. Hopefully last roll small arms fire that's going to be dumping into him, and that's it for Tyranids turn 1. So scoring a total of 11 victory points right now. So quick correction, I only had a total of 8 points that turn. Reason being is we've been marking the middle of the table with the little Indominus thing we got, and I've been measuring that as an objective. So these guys are not close enough yet to start that action, so just want to make sure everyone knows they're playing properly there. But the Neurothrope was close enough where he was able to advance and perform the ritual, whereas if they advanced to perform an action, I would be unable to do so. And the other Termagants, I don't know if I mentioned it, they're tucked away in there. So my points come from first strike and eliminating more units than he did in the first battle round. All right. So end of Salamander's turn 2. So scoring 10 points for holding this objective here, holding the other objective up this way with the Inquisitor. So we'll start on this side of the table and go over everything that happened. So my Hive Tyrant absolutely withered a storm there. The Leviathan Hive, I forget the name of it, Hive Adaption or whatever it's called. Rolling really well in that. We'll talk a little bit more about it as we go all across the table. So the Centurions moved over here. Their firepower plus the aggressor and the former Librarian who was there dropped the Hive Tyrant down to 1 wound, and I made a couple 6-up saves there. Actually, I made just 1, which was enough to keep him alive. Raveners took a hit from the bolters in this little fortress back there. The Tyranids got hit by a rocket, but I made my 5-up invul. So that's actually the story of this turn, is how many invul saves I've made. So the Tyranids here also got hit by some rockets and also a las cannon back there, making all my 5-ups. He actually dropped a bunch of wounds though from Smite, and actually a ton of small arms fire from the infiltrators there. So I actually rolled really well on dropping them down. And then the Hive Guard were lurking in here. If you can kind of see him hiding there. There is 1 left. The infiltrators moved up and shot at him. And I made a couple of the Leviathan rolls over here as well. So really working out, really above average rolling for me on all of that. But it looks grim, but the Hive Tyrant's down to 1 wound. And this Tyranids is pretty hurting. And your objectives are to kill those guys as well. So they're worth 3 victory points each, I believe. So if he gets rid of them, it's going to be very good. So really it's going to come down to how much damage can I do in my second turn. So we'll come back after Tyranids turn 2. And also another thing that I caught as well for my Tyranids, where they have so many different ranges and effects with Synapse. These guys with the Leviathan need to be 6 inches to some of my Synapse guys, which they were not. But looking back on it, there was only one Leviathan save I actually made, so I am going to put this dude down to 1 wound, and I'm fine with that. All right, so that's the end of Tyranids Turn, turn 2. So in the middle here, I actually moved everyone into proper range of the center of the table. So I have my warriors inside along with a unit of gaunts and the other unit of gaunts strung over. So I scored a total of 9 points there, hoping to max out on that in the next turn. The Neurothrope in the middle got his Psychic Ritual off. So he's floating up. He's actually sitting right here, so he's in the middle of of everyone down there. Just don't want him to break. Where he's a metal model. And then down here, the Tyranids shot into the infiltrators and didn't do too good on my shooting. I had to move. It was either I could sit still. I guess I could have double fired at them, but I really wanted to deny him that objective. That was my main reason for moving in there. Hive Guard fired in and took out one of these guys. I did a double shot with him, just if I can chip them down, because he has Line Breaker. He's aiming to get over this way. So the longer I can stall him from getting his extra points, the better. Over on this side of the table, you'll notice my Raveners are no longer with us. So I moved them up. I was going to charge into these guys, but then with the Centurions, he could use his Born Protectors and pile in with them anyway. So I decided just to go for the Centurions. I mean, my mindset with that is it's either get overwatched by them with the bolters hitting on 6s and the flamers auto hitting, or just sit still or even charge them and maybe take... I probably would have took a fair amount of them out, but I really care about the Centurions. If these guys come out, I'm not worried about it, because the Tyranids can make quick work of them, or the Zoanthropes are still kicking right there. So that's it for Tyranids Turn 2. Scored a total of 10 points for my objectives. I didn't quite hold that one. A bit of a movement error. Should have came around this way with the Raveners. So I did hold that objective and that objective originally. But as of right now, I have this objective, and I denied him a point. And I also took out the aggressor there with some psychic powers, and then the Hive Tyrant was free to just sit there. I wasn't going to fall back with him. He's safe there. He's happy. If he wants to shoot him, I'm all for that over anything else. So that's it. Tyranids Turn 2. We'll come back after Salamanders Turn 3. So that's it for Salamanders Turn 3. So we'll start on this side of the board. He took out the Tyranids with the Infiltrator breaking off, heading towards my deployment. He's right inside that rune, and the other infiltrators moved up. The Hive Guard withstood it, so he's going to be hopefully killing that lone dude in there, preventing Line Breaker. If not, he for sure is going to get the Line Breaker objective, unless I commit some of my Psychers to come down. So the Tyranids was taken out between the tank and the Dreadnought, so getting enough to get him. Almost got Dominate on him, which would have been awful. I had to command point a deny roll, because he would have just cooked all of my gaunts and potentially my warriors in there too. So on this side, dropping down the Carnifex 1 wound with the Centurion, who then charged, and I finally got to use some Overwatch with the Tyranids. Rolled insanely well, got 8 hits and wounded with all of them, so really good on my part. And the Hive Tyrant took a volley from the Centurion with his Hurricane Bolters, but he withstood it. And that was it for Salamanders Turn 3 for here. And objectives, you scored...
5 for holding this one.
Yep.
And then 3 for killing the monster.
So
more than 10 moves.
Right. So you're on your way though to getting Line Breaker down this way, and then potentially sneaking in and taking out one of my objectives. So now it's time for Tyranids Turn 3. All right, so we're actually going to call it here. We worked out all possibilities. I really don't think, even if I rolled all ones for the rest of the game, I think point-wise I would outscore him right now. So I have this objective. Actually, last turn, kind of forgot how close my Hive Guard was here. I did actually hold that one. So last turn, I would have actually got 5 more additional points. Then plus this turn, I'm scoring 15. So that right there would put me ahead by 20 technically.
15 from the psychic thing.
Yeah, and then 15 more from the ritual, so I just moved him down. That way he couldn't even target him if we were to continue. Then between all of these guys, that corner pocket there would be eliminated this turn. And then I was going to use my
Venom Cannon.
Venom Cannon, and I'd move my warriors up. They all have Death Spitters too. I'll target that one infiltrator, and then my Hive Guard would shoot him. Because if I take him out, that's going to deny him Line Breaker unless he uses the Predator tank to zip forward and advance just to get there in time. But in doing that, then he can't shoot, which really eliminates any chance he has of killing like the Tyranids or the Hive Tyrant. So, yeah, so we're going to call it there. Pretty good game. What do you think? What would you change?
I would change my dice in the first round.
Yeah,
But
he swapped dice, and it actually worked out pretty good.
other than that, I think my issue is I have too many heavy, slow units like the Centurion Assaults and the Aggressors. They just don't have any range. They have to get in close, which in turn puts me into deny like psychic range. So I need either a delivery system for the assaults, or I need
Yeah, I would say that's pretty much it. Because like my deployment, to give you an insight to what I had, a few errors on my part. I spread out the Tyranids a little far to get my Leviathan bonus. So he maybe could have lived over there because it was 6 wounds that took him out. And he only had 5, but it was kind of a risk because I denied him some points, plus really hampered his line breaker effect. So I think I would have tried to cast a lot more. Venom Thropes, I considered them over the Zone Thropes, but I think the Zone Thropes paid their worth, most definitely. So I don't know. I think I'm pretty happy with how I kind of set up, sent Tyranids this way, one kind of that way, with Synapse kind of floating in the middle. But like, yeah, your Centurions over there, I would, and the Aggressors, like having played them a few times now, I just know to avoid them, or at least stay far enough away that I'm not too worried about their damage. Then just focus them down. Yeah.
stay further than 21 inches away.
Yeah. So, but we've talked about a few list ideas. So he's going to. I have a bunch of my Ultramarine models, if you remember them. So he's going to shake up the list next time, and it's going to be interesting. So, and we talked about it last night as well. What do you think? Leviathan, is that the worst one you played so far, in your opinion?
Yes, I've played Kraken, Kronos, and Leviathan is my least favorite because I don't know how many wounds that you saved, and like I would have killed the Hive Tyrant, I would have killed the Leviathan a couple times over, I would have had wounds on all your psychic stuff. It's just annoying. Like you get the damage through, and then it's like, oh wait, nope, you actually didn't.
So yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of it. I think my goal is to build a Leviathan Warrior themed list with potentially some Chrono stuff, filling it up for more of like a competitive edge type list. But it'll be interesting. Still playing out all kinds of different units, still lots of other stuff to try, so stay tuned for the next one.